There's an undeniable appeal to games that are designed around co-op gameplay. Playing any game with other players inherently makes things more interesting more often than not, and that, of course, is doubly true for games that are, actually good. Looking ahead, there's a long list of promising titles that are due out in the future that are making some lofty promises in those areas. Here then, we're going to talk about several upcoming co-op games that have caught our eye. Once Human. Due out sometime later this year, fans of the survival genre have had their eyes on Once Human for a while. Its post-apocalyptic setting is looking promising, especially with the variety of truly horrific monstrosities that players will be contending with, while everything that we've seen of its customization and progression mechanics, base building and survival systems, which include a sanity system, has looked quite enticing as well. The First Descendant. Nexon's third-person shooter, The First Descendant, has been on quite a few radars for a couple of years now. The looter shooter is promising fast combat, bombastic boss fights, and a variety of different weapons and playable characters, with the latter all coming with their own unique playstyles. After a couple of beta tests over the last year, The First Descendant is due out this summer. Homeworld 3. Developer Blackbird Interactive has revealed details on a new game mode coming to Homeworld 3. Titled War Games, the mode is described by the studio as combining aspects of real-time strategy games with roguelites. Players can take on war games either solo or in co-op, and get thrown into a series of randomized battles. Along the way, players will be able to outfit their fleets and armadas with powerful upgrades as they take on stronger and stronger enemies. Upgrades become available to players in the form of artifacts. The studio describes these power-ups as game-breakingly powerful. The power level of artifacts come in a wide range, from small upgrades like giving a striked craft some bonus speed to something more run-defining like changing assault frigates into close quarters fighters. Artifacts are divided into two categories, patterns and upgrades. Patterns define a ship's capabilities, while upgrades specialize the selected pattern. Homeworld 3's War Games mode will have over 30 patterns available at launch, with 3 upgrades available for each pattern. Panacor. A co-op survival horror game? Sign us the hell up. Panacor will see a group of 5 players playing as daredevil explorers, finding themselves trapped in abandoned urban buildings and with a terrifying monster chasing you every stop of the way. Your goal is to hide, outwit your nightmarish foe, and find a way out. Not only will players have to work together to solve elaborate puzzles and effectively explore their environments, they'll also be constantly contending with a pursuer enemy that can literally hear every single step you take. Destiny 2: The Final Shape. Destiny 2 has had as many ups as it had downs, but where its upcoming expansion, The Final Shape, most of what Bungie has shown off so far gives us reason to be optimistic. Not that there haven't been controversial reveals, but then again, with Destiny, there are always going to be controversial reveals. On top of its new story content, the expansion is promising a new enemy race, another new subclass, new light-based supers, significant changes to the power level system, the return of exotic items, and much more. It's looking increasingly likely that The Final Shape will be Destiny 2's last major expansion, especially with recent reports claiming that Destiny 3 is in the works. So here's hoping the long-running looter shooter signs off on a high note. John Carpenter's Toxic Commando. John Carpenter's Toxic Commando is due out sometime this year, and it's looking like an absolute riot so far. With the promise of over-the-top gore and humor, thrilling co-op action against massive hordes of undead enemies, and more, this first-person shooter has certainly ensured that many are going to be keeping their eye on it. Little Nightmares 3. Even though Little Nightmares games have always made companion characters a core part of the experience, co-op has never been a part of the equation. That's changed with the upcoming Little Nightmares 3, and we're more than a little excited about that. The series' brand of gameplay is one that would lend itself remarkably well to co-op gameplay, especially given the intense horror set pieces that Little Nightmares games love so dearly. The fact that co-op in Little Nightmares 3 is going to be online only is disappointing, but hopefully Supermassive Games and Bandai Namco will add a couch co-op option down the line. Outward 2. 9Dots' 2019 action RPG Outward may not have set the world on fire, but its sequel is making some interesting promises. In addition to bringing back the first game's gruelingly unforgiving approach to difficulty, Outward 2 is also set to boast much higher production values, according to its developer, which should hopefully make its world a much more engaging one. Though the action RPG can certainly be played solo, co-op, whether local or online, split screen or otherwise, is exactly the sort of thing that can make its massively challenging obstacles that much more interesting. No Rest for the Wicked. Given how good the Ori games were, it's no surprise that Moon Studios' No Rest for the Wicked has as many eyes on it as it does, and thus far it's looking like the action RPG is set to be another impressive notch on the developer's belt. Though its recent early access release wasn't without its issues, the core gameplay experience is undoubtedly a strong one. So far, the game is only playable solo, but its first major update will be adding 4-player co-op, which we're looking forward to keenly. MechWarrior 5 Clans. With its promise of story-driven experience, MechWarrior 5 Clans has got plenty of fans' attention who may have been let down by some of the series' more recent outings. But based on what we know of the game so far, it's looking like its inclusion of 5-player co-op may be just as big of a selling point. There's plenty of enjoyment to get out of MechWarrior's brand of action regardless, but the addition of 4 players stomping about in mechs by your side is likely to make things a bit more interesting. Monster Hunter Wilds. Obviously, we need to have Monster Hunter Wilds on a list about the most promising upcoming co-op games. There's nothing quite like setting out on hunts with a squad of friends and taking on a staggering variety of incredibly designed monsters in combat. Even if Monster Hunter Wilds was just a straightforward iteration of that formula, there'd be every reason to look forward to it. But with the developer promising some significant evolutions for this gameplay, our excitement is sky high. Temtem Swarm. After attempting to emulate Pokemon with Temtem, Crema is now looking to take a page out of Vampire Survivors' book with the upcoming spin-off Temtem Swarm. Built around 3-player co-op, Temtem Swarm will see players engaging in frenetic top-down action and playing as cute little Temtem gunning down hordes of their own kind. It's certainly a bizarre premise, and the game's announcement has been met with a fair bit of backlash by the Temtem community, but we're certainly keeping our eyes on this one. Terminator Survivors. A Terminator survival game set after Judgment Day is an elevator pitch that's bound to grab your attention. Terminator Survivors will see players exploring an open-world setting, scavenging resources to bring back to an ever-expanding base. The hook, of course, that you'll have to do all of this with the terrifying threat of Skynet and its machines constantly looming over you. Due out this October and playable both solo and co-op, Terminator Survivors is definitely one we can't wait to get our hands on. Borderlands 4. We know next to nothing about Borderlands 4 so far. Hell, it hasn't even been officially unveiled yet, but 2K and Gearbox Entertainment have confirmed that the co-op looter shooter is in development, which, given the series' pedigree, is enough to turn more than a few heads. How Borderlands 4 will evolve and build on the series' formula remains to be seen, but this is a franchise that has been remarkably consistent over the years, so it's definitely got our attention. Contraband. Avalanche Studios has built its fair share of compelling open-world experiences in the past, so it's no surprise that Contraband, a co-op open-world game being made exclusively for Xbox Series X and S and PC with the full backing of Microsoft, has piqued so many people's curiosity. Other than a logo reveal disguised as an announcement trailer, we've seen nothing of the game so far, but the prospect of a heist-based co-op open-world sandbox is an exciting one, so hopefully we'll be seeing more of Contraband in the not-too-distant future. Warhammer 40,000 Space Marine 2. Space Marine 2 is looking like an enticing game even if you intend to play through it solo, but true to its Gears of War inspired lineage, co-op is going to be a huge part of the experience. The entire campaign can be played by 3 players together, and that's quite an exciting prospect, especially given the bombastic, high-octane, gory action that the game is looking like it's going to deliver. So, what are your thoughts on this? Go ahead and share them in the comments below. And if you like this video, please subscribe to the channel and enable all notifications by clicking the bell icon to get new video updates. We upload every day and would really appreciate your support. Thanks for watching.